Hi, everyone. It's Bridget Cisco. I'm here today interviewing another one of the couples who authored the book, Creating a Life of Abundance. Today, I'm here with Kim and Dave Menapace. Hey, Kim. Hey, Dave. How are you guys?
Hello, doing well.
Good today.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I had the pleasure of getting to know you guys up in New Hampshire. We all got together, every single person who played a role in making this book. But I'd love for you to share a little bit about what is your business? What do you run? What is your business called? So let's go to you, Dave, for that.
Sure. So we are the founders of the Five Star Co-host. So we run a vacation rental property management company, and it's mostly in New England, though we do have some houses in different parts of the country. Um, and we market and run those properties on Airbnb and VRBO, and then we also own a few short-term rentals ourselves.
Very, very cool. Can you give us a little bit of maybe your backstories also as how you got into the STR real estate world? Were you guys always in real estate? What is your entrance to this world?
Sure, I can begin there. So, about 4 years ago, we only owned a primary house, a little starter home, and that was it. And it all changed when we stumbled on an awesome little beach cottage 4 years, a little bit over 4 years ago now, 4.5 years ago. And it said great rental history in the first line of the Zillow listing. And we said, oh, that looks amazing. And one thing led to another, and we had bought our first vacation home and really an investment home. We planned to rent it a lot and use it a little bit ourselves. And so we both had jobs in completely different industries, and I'm still in the technology industry working in Boston. I've been working in tech companies for over a decade now, and Dave was doing something completely different and then pivoted into real estate full time after this.
Yeah, I'll get into that, and I'll also say I totally didn't want to rent our house out, not because I was scared of renters. It seemed like a lot of work, and I wanted to use the house more than anything. But it did not take Kim very long. I don't even think she had to convince me. We just started doing it, and that was the convincing. But yeah, we really, really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed running that home as a vacation rental, vacationing there and offsetting our expenses or covering our expenses. And we always wanted to do more of that. And so eventually that did lead to more investing. I'd gotten my real estate license, mainly at first just to be able to get into homes easier and check them out without bothering another realtor, which then led to helping other buyers buy these homes on Cape Cod and eventually segued into the property management space. And then there's been a whole lot of growth within our company, specifically in that, I guess, niche within real estate.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really inspired by your story from that angle as well, because it's not like, after college or even earlier, you were like, we're going to do real estate. I remember reading in your chapter, which everyone will get to read, you guys talked a lot about how you always vacationed as, kids with your families, but not from the perspective of ownership. So I think one thing that's really inspiring about your story is anyone can do this, even if it's not, your background, but you do need to take the steps forward. And that's absolutely what you guys have done.
Totally. And one thing that I'll sort of plug is that real estate and being a quote unquote investor is not necessarily about having money. It's about finding money and understanding what you have at your disposal. And usually it's not about how much money you start with, but how resourceful you are when entering into the space of buying homes that kind of starts to separate who stays in the industry or maybe who just buys one and sort of stays with that, which is still a massive accomplishment. So I don't want to take away from that, but growth usually happens with the folks that are the most resourceful, not necessarily the wealthiest.
I love that. I love that. So let's transition a little bit into the idea that you guys are not only married, so you're partners in life, partners in family and raising children, but also in business. So Kim, how do you guys balance both of those aspects of your life? Do they bleed into each other? What does it look like for you?
Oh, that's a great question. What's funny is I remember saying, I am never working with my husband. We were never going into business together. And here we are, fast forward a few years. That's exactly what happened. I woke up one day and said, oh my God, we're working together in a business. So how we are able to make that work though, is I think we're both passionate. We're passionate about real estate. We're passionate about people growing long-term wealth, taking baby steps like us buying a little 500 square foot cottage and continuing to snowball and grow from there. I think this is for everyone. And I think people will just sit themselves on the sidelines and say, I don't have any money, I can't do it. And everyone can in some way, shape, or form. So we're passionate about that. We're passionate about giving people amazing vacations. So we want owners to enjoy owning their home and feel that they're entrusting it to us. And then we want guests to have a great experience as well. And then not to mention the people who work in our company and with our company, all our vendors, our cleaners, our handymen, hot tub maintenance, all that. We want all of them to enjoy working with us. So we are passionate about providing amazing service throughout all of those different touch points. And then for us, I think that it's hard to not have it bleed into parenting and my day job still, because Dave's transitioned full time into real estate. But before that, he was working in healthcare, IT, and consulting. So we're trying to wear multiple hats and try to create some good structure and boundaries so I can still do a decent job at everything. But we've had to have those boundaries. And sometimes we need to talk things out and it's over dinner table or in the car going to daycare pickup. And then other times we have to put up the guardrails and say, hey, this is an appropriate conversation for right now. Can we please talk about this at this time? And I think finding that time or making that time is still challenging. And some days we do it better than others, but those things have really helped us, having that passion and then having those boundaries of when is it okay to talk about this? What is my role? What is your role? What am I good at, not good at? And how do we get support for the things we're not good at so we can continue to do what we're good at and stay kind of really regulated, happy, healthy, and in our both partnerships, our business partnership and life partnership.
Beautiful, beautiful. And everyone can read more of that story within the chapter as well. So let's kind of transition a little bit into that. If you were to sum up what you wrote about in the book, Creating a Life of Abundance, what are some of the biggest takeaways that someone can leave with?
Why don't you start?
I'll talk about that. So the one that really screams the loudest to me that I remember writing about this is conflict and resolution. I think that you're going to have a bad day and speed bumps and challenges. We say houses are so complicated. There's so many things that can go wrong when you're managing 20 plus of them. This weekend we had 4 houses with hot tub issues. So you just have to roll with the punches and be really good problem solvers, think quick on your feet. And I think that we've learned through some of those challenges how to have conflict with each other, with all of those different parties we talked about just now, and have resolution. And we try to hold really high standards and values. And one of our core values is assume good intent always with all these different parties. And so I think that it really comes through clearly in our chapter, is that conflict and resolution, that you're going to have sometimes to have repair or being, especially with us, I think that you can be your like most organic free self with each other, and also sometimes like our challenging side comes out and we're like, oh, I'm so sorry that didn't come out right. And so I think that when you're a little bit more like less guarded with each other, and so being able to work through that and still parent well and then be a couple, even prior to kids, you are a couple and a unity. And so I think that is such an important part of all relationships. And as I'm in my 30 plus years of living, something that I think that I didn't understand that earlier in life. I think I was my upbringing was conflict avoidant and everything's always sunshine and rainbows. And I think you need to learn that it's okay to have conflict and then resolve it, but also handle it with such integrity and with your core values that you're not going to do things you regret or say things you regret, hopefully.
Right. Dave, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what, everything that Kim said. What's been interesting is I feel like now that we've been in business together for a little bit of time, it's definitely a lot easier now than it was, when we bought that first short-term rental 4 years ago. That's a business, right? And in a lot of ways, even just like running a home or a family can be thought of as a business, right? You have to like rely on each other. You have to work through things as a family, whatever it is. And it's amazing how much harder it was to operate one vacation rental compared to now, where we have a bit of a team, but everyone has a role, right? Kim and I kept jumping over each other on the same roles early on, which was hilariously confusing for guests, but you can read about that in the chapter. But I feel like one thing that's worked really, really well for us is going back to something Kim said of like the assuming good intent. It's easy to let family and work bleed into each other sometimes too much, and um, sort of like separating that back out and figuring out when it's okay for everyone to work on something and scheduling time. And it's something we're always working on, but the benefit of that of choosing to work on it rather than walk away from it is, our family, our employees, our owners, our clients, like everyone benefits from that. And what's been really neat about this whole process is this company is a lot bigger than us. There's people that rely on the income, whether it's owners, employees, or the different donations we're able to make because of it. And that is super fulfilling. So it's just been a really, really fun journey.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Two more questions for you. Really simple, really quick. Who do you hope reads this book and how can people find you?
Want me to take the first one?
Sure.
I'd hope that anyone who's thinking about getting into business with their partner, regardless of the industry, reads it and gets to leverage our experience and the experience of the other authors, because I think that we all come from very different backgrounds, and we all have certain specialties or strengths within the industry or industries that we're in, and then how we support our relationship and our families and our businesses. I think everyone has a really unique story, and I think it'll help a lot of people that might be struggling with that, or just wanting to explore what it's like working with your spouse, again, in any industry.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
I'd say I think this book is definitely for couples, but I think anyone can get a learning out of it. I think that people often come to us and say, I individually want to go start a business or invest in real estate, but so and so is not on board, or you might even be single, and that's okay. I think there's so much to learn from everyone's stories and experiences that I wouldn't shy away if you don't have a partner who wants to be involved. They might support but not be involved, or they might not support or want to be involved, and those are all things to work through as well. I think having both very deeply involved and in the trenches together can work out, and it can also be someone who's not involved at all. I'm not as involved in Dave's like long-term rentals that he has with a business partner,
Right.
but I'm supportive of it, and I think that's okay. So I think that there's so much to learn from, and everyone has various decades of experience. We're a very young company and younger couple of all the group in the book, but I think that anyone who just has that curiosity and that entrepreneurial mind and brain and just desire to try something and just learn a lot, fall down a lot, I think could really benefit from the book.
Beautiful. Thank you guys so much. This has been such a fun interview. And let's give a place that everyone can go to find you. Maybe tell us your website or any social channels that people can connect with you on.
Totally. So I'd say on Instagram, you can find us on Menapace_real estate is probably the first place, or our website specifically is the number 5, strcohost.com. So you can reach out to us through there, or on Instagram is probably the best place.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here today. For everyone listening, thank you. Thank you. Make sure to go grab a copy of Creating a Life of Abundance. This book is coming out on Amazon by Cass Street Press on October 4th. Thank you both, Dave and Kim, for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much, Bridget.